What up, New York Giant Nation and football fans all over the world? It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. Got my guy, the super dope co-host, Adam Costas. Y'all know what time it is. It's the real deal NFC East Round-Up. Punch that intro.
Castro, is your lead? Castro.
I don't know what happened. We having some technical difficulties. I'm sorry, everybody. I don't know what just happened there, but
Our hard ass intro, my God.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna try to run that back again real quick.
Castro, is your lead?
I'm sorry, everybody, for the technical difficulties we seem to be experiencing right now, but it is what it is. I'm sorry about. I don't know what's going on. I can't figure this stuff out all the time. Stuff happens for weird reasons. But welcome to the Week 18 edition of the True Blue. I mean, of the real deal NFC East Round-Up with me and my guy Adam Costas, man. And we're gonna start this thing off. First we just want to address the Monday night football situation, the unfortunate situation with the young man on the Buffalo Bills, young safety Damar Hamlin, who is still in the hospital in critical condition, fighting for his life, unfortunately, as he went into cardiac arrest on the field. One of the absolute scariest things I've ever seen in my life as a football fan. I mean, we've seen devastating injuries, people get paralyzed, all kinds of crazy injuries, man. But we've never seen someone literally need CPR in the middle of the field, and they have to bring out the things to shock them, the defibrillators to shock them. I've never seen anything like that in a football game. I mean, just like I said, we've seen bad injuries where guys are praying for their teammates and they can still go on and resume the game. This was not a situation like that. There was, for obvious reasons, this game had to be postponed right at that moment because it just. I mean, these guys. You've seen all these guys out here crying and everything else, and it was just because they pretty much watched their teammate, their brother, pass away briefly in the middle of the field, man. And there's nothing gets scarier than that. So, gonna keep praying for Damar Hamlin, man, his family, everybody that's supporting him. It's amazing how this world has responded. This young man had some kind of a charity that he has said he was running, and apparently it's up into a lot of money has been donated just over the course of the last couple of days. Millions and millions of dollars have been donated over the course of the last couple of days. So just keep praying for this young man. Right now, what things I'm hearing, latest news is he's getting a little bit better, but yet still very much in critical condition in ICU and still not breathing fully on his own. So just keep Damar Hamlin in your prayers, everybody out there, man, because this is something way bigger than the game. This is about real life right here, and it's unfortunate that something like this had to happen.
It is a sad thing. Couldn't have said it any better myself, Mac. You know how big of an incident this is when local news broadcasts, that don't normally broadcast sports or have anything to really do with sports is bringing it up, right? Like Mac said, it's probably the craziest thing I've ever seen on the football field. Something I'll always remember going forward. One of those moments you'll never forget. And it's truly a tragedy. And hopefully he and his family send all the good vibes, prayers, burn sage, whatever you got to do, send it their way because they need it right now.
Absolutely, man. And with that, we do have the show must go on, man. So we're gonna get right to it, man. Get into this Start off the week, man. We had the Dallas Cowboys traveling down to Nashville, taking on those Tennessee Titans last Thursday night, man. The Dallas Cowboys, I thought personally the Cowboys were going to blow the doors off Tennessee Titans in this game. Was going to go out there and absolutely just trash them. And yeah, the score looks somewhat lopsided when you see the final score, but the way the game played out, it was definitely a lot closer. Cowboys did pretty much kind of pull away late in this game and make this final score outcome 27-13, playing against a third string quarterback. The Tennessee Titans ran out there and Joshua Dobbs. But the Cowboys this is a weird team, this Dallas Cowboys team. All the talent this Cowboys team has, they still seem to they have a really bad problem of playing down to their competition. What's going on, Philly B? They play down to their competition a lot, man, and they're gonna have to figure this out heading into the postseason right now. They got a lot to play for this week coming up. But Dak Prescott's gonna have to get his act together a little bit, man. And he's kind of turned into a turnover machine.
Well,
2 more interceptions in this game. So, yeah, what you got, Adam?
maybe the thumb is affecting Dak Prescott because I've never seen him at this careless with the football in his career. Now, I'm not a huge Dak Prescott fan in terms of what he is, but I see what he is, for that Cowboy team. They paid him $100,000 for a reason. He has had good seasons up until now, and I think maybe the thumb is not quite there yet. Something's a little off with this team. I wouldn't be surprised if it's McCarthy and if they lose in the first round, depending on what happens. I mean, there's so many scenarios we can go over where they could be the number 1 seed or even win the East. It's crazy to think about it. But, yeah, I think it's the coaching, really. That's what I think is happening right now. They lost Jason Garrett, who did very well for Dak Prescott. And they have now Kellen Moore, and they're putting the ball in harm's way. And we'll see what happens going forward.
Hey, what's going on, Jaden? Good to see you, brother, man. Thanks for stopping in, man. But yeah, I know it's just it's been a little something just been off with these guys. And maybe
They won
maybe
12
the thumb
games.
is affecting them. They have. But I was just noticing, especially here lately, games where I feel like they should be going out there and really. I mean, you go to Tennessee. I get it, you're on the road, but they're
Tennessee's pretty
playing their
good.
backups. They're playing what they played their backups, Adam. They played the Tennessee Titans backups on last Thursday night, and I feel like this is a game. If ever you're going to throw up like 40 points or something like that, this is the type of game where that should have happened.
Well,
You had your varsity against their JV,
right. And this is
essentially.
why sometimes we play these games because you never know what happens. Thursday night games don't favor the away team, which the Cowboys were. So lethargically, they get through this game and then they win. They don't need to worry about it. They got 10 days rest going into Commanders game. We'll see what happens this week. I agree with you. They should have blown this team out. They only had 1 interception on Joshua Dobbs. Joshua Dobbs didn't actually play that badly. I mean, when you go back and watch the tape, there's a lot of drops that Tennessee Titans team had that could have changed the momentum of the game or the outcomes of certain drives. Treylon Burks had one. I remember Robert Woods had a big drop in the game early on. And it's sometimes you got to, you got to give you got to help out your quarterback. No,
We'll get to
Jay,
that.
I won't. It's terrible. Come on.
We'll get to that in a little bit, man. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this Dallas Cowboys, there's no doubt this is a very talented football team, and they'll still be. Like I said, I expect them to get Mike McCarthy to have this team ready, and they'll be dangerous coming to postseason. Tony Pollard did not play in this game. I didn't realize he was injured or something. I didn't know. I don't know why he didn't play in this game. I didn't know he was dealing with anything. But that'll be a big piece also to this offense. They'll need to get back if they want to make a serious postseason run because he has been very important to this offense. He has been that home run hitter that this offense has, that's been keeping this offense going. I mean, CeeDee Lamb has definitely proven to be a legitimate number 1 wide receiver. As he's still out there making plays all over the place, man. Another 100-yard game for CeeDee Lamb out there. And they got a couple, like I said, they got nice pieces all around on offense. And defensively, this team, that's another thing about this team. Defensively, I feel like, is where they've taken a bit of a back seat as well. It just seems like things have been slowing down. I mean, they had a couple sacks.
He's a bit banged up and he's in and out of the lineup. He's not having the same effectiveness that they normally would have. We'll see if they tighten that up come playoff time because, there's a lot of drama happening in the NFC playoffs right now.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely, most definitely. This is, I mean, we are gearing up for one hell of a week 18 in the NFL. I mean, it's just amazing
That's
games
what
all over
Roger
the
Goodell
place.
wants. Roger Goodell wants this. He wanted it with the divisions. That's why he had the division games at the end of the night because they wanted a lot of those, win the division type games, which technically they are happening, right? The Eagles beat the Giants, Cowboys beat Commanders. A lot of things can happen with the division, but there's also seeding still involved to go in the playoffs as well, which is kind of interesting. And another caveat to why the NFL is the sport that it is. I mean, how many games end on one score or two scores? I don't know. I don't believe that's by chance. I think there's a lot of zebra helping involving in that. But what I'm saying is that this is what they want. They want you on the edge of your seat. You rather have all these teams in it, so you're never leave. Plus, fantasy also keeps you involved in as well. So this is why they love it. This is why they built it. This is why every team is mediocre across the board, and that's why there's like three or four elite teams because everybody else is right in the middle, and that's what they want. They want you.
I agree. I agree with that statement 100%. That you got a couple teams at the top that are on one tier, a couple teams you put on one tier, and then you got a lot of teams that are just kind of bunched up in the middle, kind of all in the same type of
Right. One
category.
bounce here, one bounce there. We're talking about the Vikings being out of the playoffs, right? We're talking about this, that, and the other. I mean, the Giants are in a group of clustered teams. The Jaguars, teams like that. The Jets, where one bounce here, one bounce there. You're in the playoffs. It's a different scenario, right? And I think that's what the league wants because hey, Giant fans, now you're back in the playoffs. Every year there's a different team entering the playoff mix. So I know I would have been off on a tangent here, but that's how I
I
feel.
know, but as far as these Cowboys go, though, they still literally have a chance. It's a pretty slim chance at this point now to get the number one seed. They have probably a better chance of winning the division still
Yes,
than they do of
yes.
actually getting number one seed.
And that's unless
Um,
Arizona comes to play against the 49ers, which I don't know about you. I'm not picking that game for the Cardinals.
no, the Cardinals are a pretty bad football team
Probably
at
a
this
road
point. I
bump.
think
They're just a road bump to the San Francisco train that's coming through.
think they've absolutely dialed in. But for the Cowboys to achieve a number one seed, they would need to win their football game against the Washington Commanders on Sunday, and
Which
they would
we do
need
believe will happen.
in which we and they'll also need the Eagles and the 49ers to both lose to get the
What if
number
they
one
tied?
seed.
What if the Giants and Eagles tie and the Niners and the Cardinals tie? Do the Cowboys get the first pick there? I know that's not
I
going to happen.
think I think they would, but that's not going to happen. That's definitely not going to happen. And so yeah, the Cowboys. But like I said, however, to get the division, all they need to do is win their game, and the Eagles lose, and the Cowboys will be the NFC East champs. So we will see, man. We'll see how that plays out. Do you think the Cowboys have what it takes to get this done, man, on Sunday?
To beat the Commanders?
Well, they do have what it takes to beat the Commanders.
I mean,
Obviously,
come
I don't
on.
know why. I didn't mean to
I
word it
mean,
like
I
that. I think
mean,
I worded it wrong. I didn't mean that. That's not what I was like. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, do the Cowboys, because especially based off of what we've seen the last few weeks from the Cowboys, do you think they're a team that's even deserving of a number one seed or even a division title?
um, division title, yes. I'm not saying right now the Eagles haven't earned it, but I mean they kept themselves close enough. Let's see, they went out and handled business against the Eagles. So they're gonna. I think they're gonna come out and try to beat Washington, see if the Giant and become Giant fans. Well, guess what? The games are going on simultaneously, but I'm sure they'll be scoreboard watching and hoping the Giants do something. Because remember, this is like the mid '90s. It feels like to me where the teams are fighting for seeding. One team could be a fifth seed if they win. One team could be the first seed if they win. I mean, the Giants did it in '93 against the Cowboys. They lost to the Cowboys at Giants Stadium. They went 11-5. Cowboys went 11-5, but Cowboys got the division and the home field advantage in the playoffs, and the Giants was the wild card team that year. So what I think the Cowboys are gonna put it on the Commanders, the Sam Howell led Commanders.
Is he getting a start?
Sam
Is Sam?
Howell,
I know they said he was going to play, but I wasn't sure if he was starting or not.
The rumor is, and this is a rumor, and the source I get, from the person I get it from, he's a reliable source. He said that Tyler Henneke would say just let the kid play. So we'll see if that happens. Things could change, but I'd like to see Sam Howell. They should have probably the reason they haven't started the kid is because the NFC is so putrid that they were still in the race. So they had to, placate to the fans, and we'll get to Washington in a minute to keep it up. So we'll see what happens against that team. But if the Cowboys can't beat that team in that disarray, come on.
I mean, it is in Washington, so you never know. You never know. I mean, and Taylor Hunt. I mean, I don't know if Taylor Heineke's going to play or not.
Oh my God,
that could have an impact. I mean, we don't know.
Mac, you're a better quarterback than what they're going to be rolling out there, man. Come on. If they were playing MacDaGiantsFan fan, I'd give them a better shot. But they're playing Sam Howell, who is a 5th round pick, and is a 5th round pick for a reason. And we'll see if he has any juice.
Well, we will see, man. We'll see. But I mean, any final thoughts on this Dallas Cowboy Tennessee Titan matchup from Thursday night? It wasn't really much. It was pretty much a sleeper of a game. It wasn't very interesting.
Well, we knew
what's going on, Kate? Thanks for stopping in, bro.
It's almost like, oh, I was right. even Kate's saying it.
Giants just look to do damage. Love the new culture you guys have going on. If Dallas had that culture, we would have another Super Bowl by now.
I think yes. If you're a little bit more buttoned up, the Cowboys are this team where they're just like a tease. They're like I don't know. I'll find an analogy for the Cowboys, but it's gonna be. Hopefully, it's a good one. But you know what it is.
Cowboys, what's going on, bro?
You know what the Cowboys are like? The Cowboys are like that cereal box where you have the toy and you're dreaming that you get that toy, and you go in there and you dig deep and you pull it out and it's just a sticker. And you're like, oh, you're just always disappointed. That's what the Cowboys are, man. It's like you're just always disappointed. They haven't been relevant. They're finally in the playoffs. There's a 50-50 chance that they're even getting past whoever they're facing in the divisional round, Tampa Bay. And here we are, Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see, man. This Cowboys team, like I said, they need to shape up a little bit because it's been a little shaky.
We don't need you, Cole. We don't need your support.
Cole down there, Cole Cowboy down there with the Go Giants. Let's go, baby. But let's move on real quick, man, to a game that had some significance on Sunday for the Washington Commanders. If the Washington Commanders would have been able to pull this game off at home, mind you, in Washington. If they would have been able to beat the Cleveland Browns, they would still be they'd be in great prime position for a playoff spot.
As they get their cheeks clapped the Sunday on.
But the Washington Commanders, man, they went down there, they stayed at home and let Deshaun Watson come in and have his best game of the season.
Yeah. and Carson Wentz the worst.
And Carson Wentz. You talking about a team that probably regretted the decision to start Carson Wentz instead of Taylor Heineke. That's why Taylor Heineke, I get it. He got benched the week before for Carson Wentz.
Stupid.
But at the same time, you got to come back out and start the guy that helped turn your season around. I mean, Carson is the reason why you were comfortable leaving Carson Wentz on the bench, even when he came back from his injury initially.
Yeah, I think that was a bad move, desperation move for Ron Rivera. I don't know what that's going to mean, though, man. But I think you're right, Mac.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like that. To me, that was a poor decision, and as we saw what happened, man, the result of this is Carson Wentz came out there and absolutely stunk the field up, man. Ooh. I mean, this dude played absolutely terrible, man. Played terrible football. His stat line for the day was 16 of 28 for 143 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. That's never going to get it done.
Damn.
Never going to get it done.
Well, we know
I'm not even
they're lined up for quarterback.
Yeah, I'm not even sure they're activating Carson Wentz this week. Pretty sure they may be just going into this game with Sam Howell and Taylor Heineke as their quarterbacks.
They told him to clean out his locker a week early.
Honestly, I probably would have told Carson Wentz that because you're not the guy. You're not coming back here. I don't want you back next year as our quarterback, as the quarterback for the Washington Commanders. he's a joke. I think he's now in a position where he's going to have to accept being a backup quarterback for the remainder of his career, man, because I just don't see anybody throwing starter money at Carson Wentz, and I don't see anybody giving
Or,
Carson Wentz a real opportunity to be their starter
he's gonna
going
be like
forward.
Jameis Winston, right? Where
Yeah.
Jameis falls off, and then he has that one magical run with Saints where they're like, "Oh, maybe we could do something with this kid." And clearly, if they started Jameis Winston, they may be in a different home, right? But they got stubborn and they didn't play him for whatever reason. But that's the only way Carson Wentz comes back, because and I know people don't want to talk about this, but this is why I keep bringing it up. Where you're drafted means a lot in your longevity in the NFL. It really does. Unless you're an absolute slob like Jamarcus Russell, you will be around for a while. People keep you around. Especially if you're a quarterback who's somewhat decent. You see around the league the quarterback play. I mean, that's what's also elevating the Daniel Jones talk, because the league has a lot of struggling passers right now. And the Daniel Jones, we'll get into him in a minute, is doing what he's doing right now. It makes it look better than what it is. So he's going to have a job. Nick Foles got a job. I mean, Nick Foles probably will never play in the NFL again after that performance he had on Sunday. That was just terrible. So what I'm saying is Matt Ryan still has a job. There's going to be quarterback needy teams that are going to bring him in for a competition. I'm never going to say never, because I see the NFL. Guys get injured all the time. These guys, because they're first round picks, someone's going to go, I can fix him. He's still young. He's a word, he'll go to the Raiders or something, and, their quarterback will be injured, and they'll have an epic return. It's how it happens all the time, man.
I agree, man. And I agree with this comment right here about Cade McDonald, man, 100%. It's something not right. It's something mental in this kid's head. He's got a mental block, something
the knee
that's just got him
after the knee injury.
That's got him screwed up. I think he can't get that out of his head. I think he is out there playing, just worrying not to get that kind of an injury again. And when you go out there with that in your head, it's not going to work out for you, man. You gotta play loose and let it go, man. And you can't think about getting injured. It's part of the game. It happens from time to time for guys, man. And I think it's something definitely has screwed this guy up. You just don't go from being an MVP level quarterback to what he is right now, where I don't think anybody's even going to really want this dude,
right?
Other than a backup role at best. And I just don't. I don't know. It's unfortunate for a guy just to watch a guy that used to play at the level he used to play at look like he does now, and he's still a young man. He's not like he's some old washed up old man. It's like
he's washed up right now.
He's washed. But he's not like he's some old ancient old man. You still got 45-year-old Tom Brady out here playing better, way, way, way better football than Carson.
I mean, let's bring it down a notch. We still have Andy Dalton playing football out here, folks. I mean, Tom Brady's on another level. I can't. But that's what I mean, Mac, is because he's the first overall pick. He'll get his turn. He'll be a turnstile somewhere and get a turn as a backup, as a high price backup, because there's a market for that. There's a market for high price backups. People are looking for them, and especially if a lot of the guys who are coming in this draft and in the next draft, and it looks like a lot of people want running quarterbacks, these guys get injured. That is just a straight fact. Look at it. Jalen Hurts has been injured. Daniel Jones has been injured. A lot of guys have been injured running. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo gets injured because he doesn't really run that well, so he's kind of a klutz. But Donovan, I can go down the list. And my point is,
Wentz is another one of his things. I think he's just guilty of reading the press clippings too, man. Like you gotta throw that shit out, man. Like look at him and fellow draftee Jared Goff that year. They were the top two quarterbacks in the draft that year. They went 1 and 2 in the draft in that same draft class. Jared Goff, he was getting all kinds of criticism for his somewhat lackluster play with the Rams. You know what I mean? But he's moved on to Detroit. I mean, he had a tremendous season this year in Detroit. So he's still figuring out a way to keep it going, man, to keep sustaining and block all the excess noise out and keep things going. But Carson Wentz just has not been the same. Since that 2018 season, it's been a slow decline for him, man, and it's just been weird to watch. I don't even really have an explanation for it.
It's one of those things where he was top of the league, and now he's the laughingstock of the league, which is It's like I said, it's probably got to be mental. Maybe he needs to be a backup. Maybe he needs a few seasons, do a Marcus Mariota type of thing, or a Geno Smith type of thing, where you sit around for a little bit and be a backup to some people, and then maybe there's open competition down the road. Teams has a draft pick they want to bring up, and here call up Carson Wentz. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks. Look at Sam Darnold. He's resurrected his career where he can be in a competition somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And because there's so many bereft teams of quarterbacks, and this class has some quarterbacks that are coming in that you can develop, and we'll get into all that nitty gritty.
What's up, Coach?
Down the way, but I think he'll be around. I don't think he'll ever start again, but I do believe Carson will probably have the WWE comeback story where it's like, oh, he'll have that little run. I think he'll have his little run somewhere where he'll win a couple games because some young guy is out because they run and get hit.
This is another good. Sam Bradford was another good example. Another guy that got probably more opportunities than he probably should have.
Well, Sam Bradford's problem was more like he was injured. He still performed pretty decently. He just had more injuries than Carson Wentz. Like Carson Wentz had that one big injury.
I mean, you're right. Sam Bradford actually was drafted injured, honestly. When he got drafted number 1 overall, he was injured. He wasn't even really available to play his rookie season, I believe. Did he miss his whole rookie season, I believe?
I think so.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he did.
He was a solid player. Not a great, never lived up to the number 1 overall status, I don't believe. His career. I think he will overhyped.
He definitely didn't do that.
Should have came out the year before with Matthew Stafford. He did not want to. That's when I would have came out, and that's when he got injured. This the following year. Still went number 1 overall pick, but he obviously couldn't play. So
yeah, but I think obviously the Carson Wentz era is definitely over in Washington. I don't know what's next for that dude over there, but as far as his Washington Commanders team in general, man, what's next for the Washington Commanders? Kay brought up a comment earlier up in the chat earlier about Ron Rivera not even realizing that his team had been eliminated from postseason with that loss, or didn't realize that they could be. At the time they lost the game, they still weren't technically eliminated yet. But he didn't realize that they could be eliminated after the results of the Green Bay Minnesota game later on that afternoon. And to me, that is kind of embarrassing as for the head coach to not realize something so important. How you think about the future of this team?
You really think he thinks he's going to the playoffs? He's starting Tyler Heineke, and he just watched his season go up in flames with Carson Wentz starting. He's probably so delusional right now because he's about to get his ass fired because it looks like the Joe Judge thing. We're like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. I think, listen, I like Ron Rivera as a coach. Maybe going to the Commanders was not a good idea. They got a lot of turmoil with their ownership group. They're probably trying to sell that team. You've had an influx of talent. You drafted a quarterback. He didn't make it. You traded him away. Your other guy broke his leg. You know what I mean? Like it's just been a calamity of errors for Ron Rivera. Maybe take some time off, go back to TV, and then when the coaching circle happens again, throw your name in the ring to a team that actually can build for you. Because I believe Ron Rivera has some ability to coach men. Look what he's doing with this crappy franchise, keeping them in playoff contention 3 years in a row.
In the best division in football, by the way, just throw that out there. But this is another example, too, once again, also not getting your best playmakers involved, man, not nearly enough. Here we go again. You got 2 catches for Terry McLaurin. Scary Terry McLaurin should have more than 2 catches in this football game. And a game of this magnitude, you got to target Terry McLaurin more than 5 times. There's just no excuse for that and for things like that. He is your absolute best weapon on offense. And you got to get him more involved in this game. It's just, to me, disgraceful. And if it would have cost me my fantasy championship, I would have been pissed off, Carson Wentz, at you. I might be choking you out right about now. However, it did not cost me my fantasy championship. I did go on to still win that thing. Yes, sir. I just had to throw that out there.
Well, look, the defense played pretty well. They had 1, 2, 3, 5 sacks on the day, right? I can't believe David Mayo was their leading tackler. David Mayo.
Yeah, exactly.
Goes to show you what this team is doing, right? They have no offensive identity. Kyle Shanahan's son, or Scott Turner, is in over his head. He's not a good offensive coordinator. Just if I'm the Commanders, blow it up. I don't think anybody wants to be on your coaching staff. So Ron Rivera probably can stay as long as he wants, because if I'm a coach, I'm going to be like, nope, I'm turning you down. Don't even bother putting in an interview request, because until that ownership group is fixed, I think that's when you'll really see the Commanders kind of get shit right. Right now, everything's a mess.
But here's what exactly, K. I love your comments in the chat, K, man. Keep them coming for us, brother. Because I agree with this. The Commanders team has good talent on this football team. It's just really, here's the thing, Adam, you just brought up something when you said they have no identity offensively. And I agree 1,000%. With Carson Wentz, they have no identity offensively. When they had Taylor Heineke, Taylor Heineke was starting the games for this team. This team made it a point to establish the ground game, get the ground game going. And I felt like they just, once they put Carson Wentz in there, they feel like Carson Wentz is some kind of think like he's some kind of amazing quarterback that they can just rely on his arm. And it's just they clearly can.
Well, that's what the game plan was before the year. That's what one of the NFL shows, I don't know if it was ESPN or NFL Network, the reporter mentioned they put him in to spread their offense out, go deeper, because of Tyler Heineke couldn't throw deep. Well, it backfired, and maybe you're right. Maybe they overthunk this, right? Maybe they overthought it. Maybe they should have left in Taylor Heineke and said, you know what? You got us here. Let's die on this sword. Instead, you got desperate because your playoff hopes were on the line, and you were trying to see if you could win a game, and sneak up on an opponent, but you didn't.
Yeah, I mean, once again, agree with this comment. Look, they low-key, the Commanders have better talent than the Giants. Besides the quarterback, they just can't put it together and the running back position too, by the way. I throw that out there. But quarterback, they just can't put it together like us. And I agree with that wholeheartedly, because I've been talking about this, like these wide receivers on the Washington Commanders, and they got the front seven on that defense. I mean, they have some good talent all over.
I think that's why they're got 7 wins. That because some of those things came true. They did turn the ball over for a stretch of games. They were the number 1 defense in the league for 5-6 weeks. So it ran, and right now they had 5 sacks, which means they got to the quarterback. They're doing what they need to do. The lackluster play at the quarterback position is what you'll see, and this is what I mean. There's going to be teams out there, because right now Washington is not going to – they're going to be in a position to draft a quarterback, but to get a really good one, they're going to have to make some moves, and they already made moves to get Carson Wentz. So a team like them, what are they going to do? Are they going to open the Brinks truck to a team like David Carr? It really is going to see who their coach is.
Here's the issue, I think, with the Washington Commanders as far as in free agency goes. It's going to – I think with a franchise as toxic as this franchise is right now, with the ownership situation and everything – it's going to be tough to get some good free agents that want to come and play for this football team, I believe, in the offseason without just vastly overpaying them. So,
well, you're going to have to get somebody to coach.
It's going to be I agree, but it's going to be a tough offseason for this team, because I just think they're such a joke as a franchise, because with all the craziness going on in their front office, that I think people are just fed up. Players don't really want to even play for this team, I feel like.
Well, they want to play for Ron Rivera.
Ron Rivera, he's a very respected coach, but at the same time, I just think guys, they're going to have a hard time attracting free agents to this, as long as Dan Snyder is still the heading things up in the front office.
Let's touch on that real quick. If they decide to do that with the turmoil, maybe Ron Rivera gets to keep his job. If I'm Ron Rivera, I'm doing one thing. I'm firing my offensive coordinator on the spot. And I'm saying,
absolutely,
I need a new offensive mind to come in here. Now, regardless whoever they get, whether that's Will Levis, whether they like Sam Howell next year, whoever, Derek Carr, whoever they bring in, Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, there's going to be a ton of names out there. Even Daniel Jones, I know he's not going anywhere, but we'll throw it out there. He's a free agent until told otherwise, right? So there's going to be guys out there that they could go get. Now it depends on what they want to do. Now, if you keep Ron Rivera, maybe they'll come to play for you because he's a good coach. You see some of the things that he's done with players who have gone to the Pro Bowl, and the way that he's kind of, players love Ron Rivera. So I would hope that he can get through this unscathed. If he doesn't, that's where it comes in, where who's going to want to go coach that team? You know what I mean? Ron Rivera can sift through the garbage right now because he's a man. If you get that guy a quarterback and a good offensive coordinator, and maybe say what you're going to do, like if they brought in, let's say, Jimmy G, and a draft pick, right? At least Jimmy Garoppolo gives you some semblance of, hey, maybe we can be competitive, and he hits lightning in a bottle and does something like that. But that's what the Colts have been doing. So the Colts now, though, are a chance to get their quarterback because they suck. So it really is going to depend on what they're going to do. If they fire Ron Rivera, I don't think you're really going to see a good Commanders team for a long time.
Yeah, Cade, I'm gonna disagree here. I mean, not disagree because you didn't really say that's what they're gonna do, but there's no way Sean Payton would accept the job as long as Dan Schneider is running that team. There's no way a coach of his credentials is going.
I don't know if I would accept the
Washington
job down
Commanders.
there right now. Like I wouldn't want to be coach for that team.
Yeah,
right?
I wouldn't really want any part of that organization right now, to be honest. It's just too much craziness goes on there, man. They need to really figure things out and get things together, man. Because it's just not a good look all across the board for the Washington Commanders right now. And in this season, they showed signs of so much potential throughout this season, and for it to end the way it has ended for them, it's unfortunate. I mean, they had a pretty good year overall. I think they played above expectations as well as like a team like us, the New York Giants. But
Yep.
But at the same time, for it to end like this, and like I said, I think a lot of it had to do with a terrible decision at the quarterback position. No way. I get it. Taylor Heinicke had a bad half of football against whoever that was they played against a couple weeks ago, but to make the decision to start Carson Wentz when your team clearly was responding so much better to Taylor Heinicke.
Nothing you can do, man.
I just think that
It was desperate. That was a desperate move.
Desperation move, yeah.
And
going
to
on,
me,
Tudo?
is one of those moves where maybe he knows he's gonna get fired or something like that, because a coach that's not desperate leaves the kid in and says, I'm just gonna ride die with this kid right now. I know that they're trying to get to the playoffs, and he does give you a vertical set. You could have, if you had done this 5 weeks ago when he was healthy, and you said, a couple weeks ago when he was healthy, and you said, fine, we'll bring it back, then all right, fine. I can respect your decision then. Now, I just know it's clear desperation, and it also costs your team, which I feel bad for guys on defense who played their hearts out all year, every week for you to keep this team in it, and all you do is squander it with this performance.
Yeah, absolutely, because it was a turd on Sunday. That was absolutely a terrible performance, and it not what their fans bought tickets for on that particular day. They wanted to see this team keep their playoff hopes alive,
and that's why they have no chance against the Cowboys.
And we'll be getting back to that. We'll get back to that one a little bit later. But yeah, I agree. And any more final thoughts on this Washington Commanders team?
Get them out of here.
See you later, Washington. And we are going to go to the link, where we had another massive upset on Sunday. Massive upset on Sunday up in Philadelphia as the New Orleans Saints rolled into Philly and took out the almighty Philadelphia Eagles, who I was calling the best team in football. But after these last couple of weeks, I'm not going to make it about the quarterback. This is still a good enough team that should have won both of these last 2 games, I feel like, and they just have not been able to get the job done. And took another L 2 weeks straight. New Orleans beat them 20-10 at home. I mean, people were trying to say, we didn't have Jalen Hurts. Gardner Minshew did not play terrible football in this game. He just didn't. I mean, he's still getting the ball to your playmakers, to your weapons. I understand, Adam, you brought up that A.J. Brown wouldn't appear to be very happy with him, but at the same time, Gardner Minshew still played overall well enough to get the job done here, and this did kind of, I don't know, the defense kind of let them down here. I mean, letting the Saints just have their way for the most part throughout this game, and it was just, I don't know, it was just not the same Eagle team we've been seeing all season long. What's going on, unpopular opinion?
It's interesting because defensively, they had a ton of sacks in the game. They had 1, 2, 3. They had 3. 4, they had like over 4 or 5 sacks in this game, and you would think that there would be turnovers. But a pick 6 doesn't help, Mac. I think that's where in lies some of the issues. Jalen Hurts hasn't been turning the ball over at all. Gardner Minshew comes in, and it was a costly pick. You're right. He didn't play bad. 274 yards. You'll take that on a good day from a good quarterback. From a backup, that's keeping you in the football game. Here's where the Eagles dropped the ball, and that is they didn't run the football enough. 12 carries for Miles Sanders is not good enough for a team that is playing a backup quarterback. Normally, they get those runs coming through with Jalen Hurts. But now with Miles Sanders, you need to feed him the rock, I think, a little bit more. And I think that's what they got away from is they didn't adapt to what they should have relied on, your star running back, and then you could have let your quarterback ease into it. So,
Yeah, I didn't know that Andy Dalton's undefeated against the Eagles in his career. I had no idea, but that's an interesting stat. I like little nuggets like that, Cade.
wow.
But
That's
not,
hilarious.
that is. It's weird, right?
I retire right now, Andy Dalton. Retire right now. Go into the record books with something. You know?
I mean, that was nuts, man. That's an interesting stat. That was a great show last night, NYG. Great show, man. Heart of the city, man. Y'all definitely sub up to Unpopular Opinion Sports, man. Doing his thing, man. He's got his channel growing. Comes with that Heart of the City podcast every Tuesday night. Brings the heat. Talks about all the New York area sports teams. Covers it all. The Nets, the Knicks, the Giants, the Jets, the Mets, the Yankees, New York sports, man. You're going to hear it on the Heart of the City podcast every Tuesday night. Unpopular Opinion Sports. Hosting it with my man, Coach Ed Gladney, and my guy, NYG Jeffy T, man. So he does a great job, man. Support that man, doing good things in the YouTube community right now. Yeah, this Eagle team is starting to. I mean, I wouldn't say coming unraveled. This team is still. There's so much talent on this football team. I think they'll definitely get it back together. Looks like Jalen Hurts is trending to be in the lineup this week against the Giants. Of course, that would be the case, right? But I think this team is loaded with so much talent that they'll figure out and turn things back around. I mean, teams, even the good teams, go through these tough streaks like this, man. They definitely go through times like this. This is probably not the best time for that to happen for the Eagles, getting ready for the postseason. But like I said, this team still very much controls their own destiny for that number one seed. They go out and win their game on Sunday, and they'll still be the number one seed and get that all important first round bye. And listen, thanks for stopping in, bro, and definitely prayers up for Damar Hamlin, man. Most definitely.
So I know we don't want to talk about the quarterback per se, but I think this is where Jalen Smith comes in. They had a couple of 4th and 1s that didn't go their way that they normally would have, right? And they also have Lane Johnson out. So they kind of a banged up team. But this is why we talk about being an MVP candidate. The Eagles don't have Jalen Hurts in the game, and they're a whole totally different offense. They don't do the same thing. They don't have the same dynamic. That Jalen Hurts is not running, which opens up the whole offense when he runs, right? You have Gardner Minshew, who can scramble around, buy you some time, maybe get a few first downs here and there, but he's clearly going to be a pocket passer. I mean, the case in point is on the stat sheet, right? You don't want to look at it, but Gardner Minshew had 1 carry for 0 yards. I mean, so the whole dynamic and the element of that offense changes, and this is what I mean when I talk about MVP, right? Because
absolutely.
That's why certain teams, it's funny because we'll get into the Giants in a minute, but Tyrod Taylor does similar things to Daniel Jones. So there's no drop-off really in offense when you put that guy in. With Minshew, it's a different drop-off. You're not having those designed runs. You're not running those RPOs that you normally would run. And nobody's buying the RPOs that you're trying to sell because they know that Gardner Minshew is not running the football. So I do believe when you see Hurst come back in, and maybe he's a little rusty against the Giants, but obviously he's healthy enough because they have a banged up O-line, and this game means something because, what would you do if you're the Giants? Giants aren't going to sit their players, and we'll get there in a minute. So my point is, if you look at the grand scheme, I know Mahomes is having a great year, absolutely fantastic year. And if you took him away from Kansas City, probably not even sniffing the playoffs. But what Jalen Hurts means to this team, what they do in terms of their offensive scheme set is different, right? Mahomes is a pocket passer. They're not relying on his run game as much. They know he's going to buy time and be Mahomes and throw it over his head, do backflips and cartwheels and whatnot. But what the Eagles rely on is Jalen Hurts' legs to help them extend plays and also to build that run game that he's built so well. He has 740 yards rushing and 13 rushing touchdowns.
I mean, yeah, well, just to piggyback off of that, like you were saying, that is a big difference. Like I was saying, Minshew definitely didn't. He played well enough for the Eagles to still win this football game. I still wouldn't blame this loss because Gardner Minshew was the quarterback. But at the same time, Jalen Hurts adds that extra dynamic that defenses have to worry about,
Right.
and it is a big difference. They actually, when I was watching this game on Sunday, I was watching a little bit of this game, and it was a particular play they were showing where they ran an RPO. And Minshew just hands the ball off to Miles Sanders or whoever the running back was at the time, and it was like they were showing like, see, now this is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is totally keeping this football and taking all of that wide open field that they gave him to the other side. But with Minshew, they weren't even playing the quarterback in that RPO. They
Right.
just played the running back because he's not that same threat to run the
Exactly.
football. Thanks a lot, Tudo, for that compliment. I really appreciate it, man. Adam work hard, man. We keep trying to make this show better and better each and every week. Appreciate your constant
Thank you so
support,
much.
man. Most definitely.
And that's why I think when we talk about this, and this is be my last point on it. Yes, the defense I think leaves a lot to be desired for the Eagles, but they're more of a zone scheme, and they're really going to be when you're in a dogfight with them. This is where you're hoping to happen. I mean, they kept their team in the game. You know, you take away the pick six, and maybe it's a different ball game. Maybe we're talking about 13-10 ball game, but that pick six does hurt you. It's giving free points to New Orleans. I think the score kind of makes it seem like, the Saints went off. The Saints were very pedestrian in this game. It's just untimely turnovers, not converting on the 4th and 1s from like they normally would with Jalen Hurts, who, by the way, can lift 600 pounds of squat press, right? So he can really move the pile, unlike Gardner Minshew. So you see the different dynamic, and I think while I don't believe he's going to win MVP now because he is injured, and the numbers are going to look pretty baseline right now, then you won't win. But I think for what he's done for this team, if there was an NFC MVP, he'd be it.
I could definitely agree with that. I think the MVP probably has escaped him now because missing out these last couple of games. Patrick Mahomes still playing at the level he's playing at. I think that it'll be tough for Jalen Hurts to probably win that, secure that MVP award now. But I think his value has been proven to this Eagle football team. I think it does. It's definitely been an impact without him in the lineup. And address this question real quick from Cade. I'm not sure, man, because I know it's just a shoulder injury, and you might think that it had nothing to do with your legs, but shit, you still need to. You need everything when you're running. You need everything. You need your
Yes,
arms
I
as much
think he'll be able
as
to run
well.
around.
So,
As long
but
as
I
it's
don't.
not his throwing shoulder, I think what he'll do is he'll protect himself by getting down. What might happen is you might see more sacks being taken or him giving himself up a little bit more or sliding when he
But
normally
that's
slide.
what I'm talking about. That's basically what I'm talking about. Like he'll probably be giving up on plays more than normal than he would before. Where before he'd go get those couple extra yards at the end of a play. Where now he'll just be getting down, sliding, not and trying to definitely. I mean, he's good at protecting himself anyway, avoiding the big hits most of the time. But he'll be probably even a little more cautious with it, I'm not sure it could affect his play a little
We'll
bit.
find out. We'll find out. I mean, look, they're in desperation mode. They need this game because guess what? If he doesn't play in this game, if he doesn't play now and you lose the game, now you have to thrust him out there with no rest. At least maybe you can get him through this game. Let's hope that you can get a lead so you can take him out early, right? So if I'm the Eagles, the next game I play coming up, I want to get a lead early, and this way I can take him out and not worry about it, right? And then keep him in the game because you're going to need him to play. And the number 1 seed does mean a lot. You can rest your guys. You'll be able to do a little bit more. You don't want him getting beat up and then in the wild card round. So we'll see what happens. If it's a pain tolerance thing, hey man, go make yourself a legend.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think they're gonna need him back out there on the field on Sunday. I think to try to secure this victory and try to get that number 1 seed, and then they can get that bye week and then worry about getting some more guys healthy. Because like Tudo just brought up here, Kenny, he ain't fully healthy yet, and that would be their downfall on almost all their other positions line as well, all banged up and they're struggling. This is a good point because the Eagles have probably been one of the healthier teams throughout
Yes.
most of this football season, and they are starting to get banged up big time at the worst possible time as well. So they definitely need to try to secure this bye week and try to get some of their guys back in this lineup. I did see read an article today where the safety they got from the Saints at the beginning of the year, Gardner Johnson or whatever, the one that all the interceptions.
Yes.
I heard he's been activated back of not to the roster yet, but he's been lifted off of IR for the 21-day window. So that's actually big time for the Eagles. I would just probably worry about getting that guy ready for the playoffs and making sure you can have him back in your lineup on your defense come postseason, because he was definitely making a lot of impact plays before he went down. So we'll see what the Eagles do, man. But you got any more thoughts on these Eagles, man? After taking that L at home on Sunday?
No, not much. I mean, most of what I'm going to say goes into the preview for next game anyway. So the team that we're going to be talking about right now,
you know it. We're going to get there. We're going to get to it, baby. The show. Here it is. The New York Football Giants hosting the Indianapolis Colts.
Playoff now.
And at MetLife Stadium on Sunday. And all that was on the line was a postseason spot. The New York Giants win the football game. They got a spot at the table in the post for the first time since 2016. And the New York Giants did not disappoint in this one. 38-10. Absolutely rolled the Indianapolis Colts. And honestly, had they not taken their foot off the gas, I feel like they could have threw up 40 or 50 points on this team for real. So easily, well, obviously they could have put up 40 on the team. They had 38 anyway. So, I mean, this New York Giants team, they're offensively look like nothing we've seen all season from this team. I mean, we thought they played pretty good in Minnesota a week ago. Well, guess what? They played even better against Indianapolis on Sunday. And Indianapolis honestly has a better defense than the Minnesota Vikings. So this New York Giants team, man, is starting to maybe trend in the right direction at the right time, man. So yeah. I mean, quarterback Daniel Jones, whew.
I mean,
forget about it.
Here it is. I mean, hats off to number 8. There it is, people. I'm throwing roses to the kid. He did a good job. You know what I mean? He's going to earn a new contract. You know, he played a good game. He's helped his team out win. I mean, the guys are stepping up for him. Richie James is stepping up for him. You know, Hodges is stepping up for him. They're really showing the continuity on the offense. I love what Dable's doing, the energy that they're bringing defensively. I mean, Landon Collins, can we say welcome back, Landon Collins? I mean, my goodness. You know, so it was good to see. And I think last week it was me who said, hey, can we have a blowout in the game? Can we just, have a laugher?
Blow somebody out? Word. You did say that, Adam.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, people were like, oh, what are you talking about? I said, this is what you need. You want to believe this team has some chance to make any noise? These are the games we talk about. The games where the team, I forget who played Houston, but Houston got the doors blown off this week against the team that they played. I think it was the Jaguars. They're playing the Jaguars.
Trashed them.
And the Jaguars, who basically resurrected themselves from the dead, came in there and they beat a team at the end of the season trying to make a move to the postseason. Well, here we are. We're a team that's 4-9 that can't get out of their own way. They just benched their quarterback. Their offensive line's in shambles. The defense doesn't want to play because, their offense can't do anything. And here we come. And everyone's like, well, we need to just win the game. And no, you need to stomp on these guys. And that's what we did. From start.
Made a statement. Had to make a statement, and the statement was absolutely made. Kick the damn door in. Don't back into the postseason. You kick the damn door in. And that's what the New York Giants did. And, I mean, look, I'm going to keep talking about the quarterback. I can't help it. The kid showed me something on Sunday that I just never seen. I mean, it's levels, like it's levels to this. And he's starting to take these steps up to these next levels, man. This kid accounted for 4 touchdowns on Sunday, 2 rushing and 2 passing, and he just did things that made him look like an absolute legitimate franchise quarterback in this football game.
I'm not going to go there with you on that level because he's going to have to now since everybody's loving him the way that they're loving him. I'm not saying I don't like the kid. I don't like the kid, but I appreciate what he did on Sunday, and I'm going to give him respect. And actually, like I told you guys before, I used to love Daniel Jones, and then something just turned sour on me. And now my ex Jones keeps calling me up saying, "Hey, you want to come back? I got a spot for you over here on the Jones bandwagon." Well, let's see. Well, we'll see what happens. I don't know right now, but the things that they're talking about, MVP and all this, that, and the other thing. I mean, let's relax, okay? Let's let him do his thing. He has played well. I don't even think this is the best he's played. I think this is the most consistent he's played, and because of the way it looks and the wins that are happening, now it's being magnified. Because if you go back to his rookie season, you watch those games in and out, in and out, in and out. He played some good football games in those games.
mean,
They didn't have good defense.
But like I've been saying, like I get that, like, statistically he still hasn't matched his rookie year statistically as far as the stats sheet says.
Yes.
But like I said, it's about the look of the quarterback. It's about the things you watch him going through his progressions. You watch how he's extending plays. You watch how he's elevating the Richie James and the Darius Slaytons of the world. He's making these guys look like decent receivers.
They're helping them out by catching the football. They're doing their job.
And that as well. Like, I was going to comment on that. These wide receivers on this day, Richie James had 7 catches on 7 targets. And we know about the couple big drops he had against Minnesota.
Because I want to bring up a guy, Darius Slayton. Interesting guy. Because if you look at his 4 years in the league right now, he has the same numbers out of 3 out of those 4 years in a different offense. And, I think to me, what does that say to me about Darius Slayton? Is he is the player that we know he is, and that's who that's what he's going to give you. And I think right now with the quarterback, I think he's playing good football. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that I want more. 3,200 yards, 15 touchdowns. Okay, get it. But the guy who is injured in the Eagle land is out 3 games, has that with 2 games left to play, right? So Hurst has 22 touchdowns and 13 rushing and 3,400 yards. So what I'm saying is like, he's going to be put on a pedestal going forward for me. And now I need you a higher clip. You want to make it to that level? You're in that level? Okay, I'm going to treat you like that level. Next year, I don't want to hear no excuses about this kid. I don't want to hear about, 3,500. No. You need to hit barometers now, man. Make sure we hit barometers. Make sure you get that elite level. Because there's no point in settling for just being ordinary. Be extraordinary, okay? So be up there. Be talking with Mahomes. Get me the actual MVP talk that we're talking about now. Make me that believer. Because right now, you open the door. You open that door back up to me coming over and saying, "Hey, Jones, maybe I was wrong about you." But what I need now going forward is I need that straight consistency. I want to see it happen again, and you need to elevate your numbers in terms of just play. And if that means, you get a receiver, fine. But once they get a receiver, if he still has these numbers next year, and I'm talking about the rushing numbers because I think those are going to go down, but he still has the same passing numbers with a new receiver, I don't want to hear nothing. I don't care how much you pay him, because you're going to have to pay him. He's going to probably get a 3-year contract worth $100 million. Because if I'm the Giants, as much as I like what he's doing, I still don't want to invest that much money because I got guys coming down the road I got to pay that are going to be more important. What you need right now is to find out, okay, Daniel, how far can you take us? Because Jimmy G, people love Jimmy G, but he's come in and he's done just enough for the 49ers. Hasn't done anything outside of that, okay? So I need to know this is not a 1-year fluke, and I need to know that you're going to be able to build off of that. Because I look at Tannehill, who I compare Daniel Jones a lot to, and I got to look at Alex Smith. I think there are some comparisons there. I want to just double check some things with him. But they brought in A.J. Brown, and they had one year of over 33 touchdowns in the season with A.J. Brown. So I'm like, if the guy comes in the draft, which we're drafting lower in the draft right now, we're 23rd, I think, if it was to end today, which thankfully it doesn't, right? 23rd. I don't know what the best receiver is going to be at that point. So I don't want to hear excuses if he comes out the gate struggling next year. But hey, Daniel, you did good. Beat the Eagles.
I don't think he is, though, Adam. And I'm going to tell you my opinion on why I think he won't. Because even if you just watch this season, how everything it's been a steady climb. It might not have been as fast of a climb, but it's been a steady climb with him in his offense. And now he'll be coming back next year in the same offense. I mean, barring something really bizarre happening in the offseason, he'll be coming back in the same offense. He's looking like a guy that has his offense pretty much mastered now. I mean, over what you've seen over the course of the last couple weeks, like you said, you've been talking about all season right here on this very show each and every Wednesday night. You've been talking about, did he take the chains off? Take the chains off this guy. Take the chains off this guy. The chains have come off, and we're seeing a better version of Daniel Jones. Like I said, it's just
right.
like I said.
But I'm looking at
throwing this. I'm throwing stats. Like I said, I'm looking at the progression of the quarterback, the man himself, the way he commands this. He's been commanding this offense the last couple of weeks, and it's just something different.
I'm not necessarily going to throw. I'm not saying I'm not throwing all the stats out, but I'm looking at Jalen Hurts right now, and Jalen Hurts is in year 3 of his build, and he's already in that higher trajectory going forward. And what I'm looking at is the overall finances and economics of teams, right? Why is Amari Cooper not on the Cowboys? Because they can't pay him and Dak Prescott. Why is Devontae Adams not on the Packers? He wanted to go play for the Raiders, but they didn't pay anybody else. They didn't bring anybody else in except for Christian Watson. Same thing with A.J. Brown, right? They all the scenarios I have their $100 million quarterbacks. Now, I'm not saying, Daniel won't win a Super Bowl or whatever. I still believe there's more to be had with Daniel. I guess the reason why I'm so hard on him is because I want our guy to be a star. I don't want to be a star and just lumped in there. And at the end of the day, he's winning 8 or 9 games a year. We're in the playoffs, ho-hum, because that's what the fucking Vikings are, right? Kirk Cousins, we don't like Kirk Cousins. That guy gets them to the playoffs every year. They don't advance, and he puts up, he puts up all these numbers as well. But at least he's in the top thing. They're always winning. We have a guy here who sometimes you need to be able to know that he's going to put up 20 touchdowns. I don't know. That's how I feel. I feel like I don't want to settle for less. If you're going to be this great guy, then be great. Show me how great you can be. Because Ryan Tannehill, not that great. People hate Ryan Tannehill, but go look at his numbers in the last couple years.
And I agree with you. But here's my problem: is kind of like what Miz is saying. Like, I get it. Our receivers are average at best. I mean, at best, they're average. They're not above average. At best, they're average. They're not elite by no means. By no means. And you're talking about a guy, when you're talking about Hurts development, Hurts is literally playing with a number 1 and 2 receiver that are literally both number ones.
Yes, but
let's face it, they're both number 1.
I'm going to stop you right there because Gardner Minshew played with those guys, and the result wasn't the same. Okay, the result was not the same.
No, statistically, passing it was. Passing-wise, statistically, it was the same. He just doesn't add the extra dimension to the game. I mean, he's talking about these last 2 starts were Gardner Minshew. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown still were 100-yard receivers in these games.
Right, they're going to eat.
So,
but with this, everybody wants to just make it out to be, if it's this weapon, not this weapon. I mean, guys have had.
Adam, you got to look at it from the standpoint that if you upgrade the weapons, how can it get worse?
But I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's getting worse. That's what I'm telling you guys. I need 4,000 yards if you're going to get better receivers. Why not? You say that he's this good, and then you're like, then give me the numbers. I want 4,000 plus yards. I want 25 plus touchdowns, and I want 700 plus and 13 plus yard touchdown. Yeah, is it crazy for me to ask that? No. Why? Because that's what you guys want. That's what you want.
It's not.
I'm
saying, if he has the numbers he has right now with Richie James being his leading receiver.
And I'm telling you that he'll probably have 500 more yards passing, and he'll probably have 5 or 6 more touchdowns. So he's going to end up like Ryan Tannehill, because Ryan Tannehill's numbers are exactly the same. If you take A.J. Brown out of there, who had 8 touchdowns with him and those 1,000 yards, that's what you get. So if you were to put a guy of his caliber onto our team, that's probably what you're going to end up with. You're probably going to end up with 3,700 yards and possibly 22 touchdowns. Now, if you want to factor in his rushing touchdowns, okay, we can factor that in. But I'm not just going to settle for standards because, now we're winning and, he throws 15 touchdowns a year. No. I want a guy who's going to show me, okay, you want to get paid this $100 million. Now the course changed. Why do you think the dynamic of the Dak Prescott thing has changed? Because before Dak Prescott was loved, he signed that $100 million deal, and now it's like, he's not the guy, and right? So once you enter that narrative of being a good player and getting paid money, I expect expectations out of you. Same thing with Kirk Cousins. Right? They pay that guy every year. They pay that guy. He goes over 40 and 33 every year. And I'm just saying, sometimes you want that. I want to see you earn that money. I don't want to see 15 touchdown passes. I want to see if you're going to be an elite guy, be an elite guy. Don't give me average and tell me and try to feed me. Don't give me McKean Elios and tell me it's fucking Ray's Pizza.
I'm, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, we're gonna have to wait to see that, obviously until next year, because obviously the weapons are what they are right now. But from what we've been seeing from Daniel Jones these last couple of weeks, in general, especially in particular,
I
last
did
couple weeks for
factor
me,
those. Hold on. This guy right
and,
here. Unpopular.
and
Put that up there.
but at the same time, I'm saying you got to the version of Daniel Jones we've been seeing, the way he's been executing this offense with the guys he is working with. Like I said,
Right.
you add
Right.
even a. I mean, it's just I think
And I'm not
it
poo-pooing the last
potentially
4
going
years.
through the roof.
I think you
I
guys
think it
also
can
are
potentially go through
excited
the roof,
because of
man.
the trash that we've had the last few years. It's been trash, right? So he hasn't been well, but it's kind of interesting that his numbers mirrored the same numbers for 12 games, and then he's played more. Remember, this is the first season he hasn't been injured, which is a kudos to him. And by the way, he's been sacked the most this season. How do I know? How does that figure out? Normally, a guy that gets sacked usually gets injured. But my point was that comment that he made, unpopular opinion. If I were to factor in the 13 touchdowns that Jalen Hurts has, he has 33 touchdowns. Okay, Daniel Jones has 22 touchdowns if you factor in the 7 touchdowns that he has. Right? There's guys that throw for more than that. Is it my fault that I expect the quarterback to be a good passer? Right? I didn't ask him to be a runner. Right? And it's funny how the narrative changes now. Right? Do you consider Daniel Jones a running quarterback? Would you say he's a runner now? I mean, I don't know.
I would say with over 700 rushing yards, he's a running quarterback. I think you don't
Okay.
have over 700 yards and not be a running quarterback.
So rumor has it is that guys that can run don't win Super Bowls, right? So my question is at what point do we throw that narrative out? Because if we believe this guy is going to be in the Super Bowl, we've got to have a runner. And I like a guy who's better. I just believe in passing the football. That's what I believe. And sometimes they're going to take that run away. And he's a better runner right now than he is a passer. And that's a fact. We could agree that if you took away his legs, he's not as good of a passer right now. His passing helps set up his run. His run helps set up his pass. That never usually happens. Usually it's your pass that sets up your run. But his running helps set up his pass because what he can do is he can drop back. And a lot of his running is on those scrambles on man drills. He doesn't normally run. My point is that I can expect more from the guy because if you guys expect more from the guy, he goes, bro, if Jones is elite, if Jones is top next level and win a ring, then what, bro? I don't know. Mahomes. Why do we love that guy? Why do we love Joe Burrow? Why do we love watching Justin Herbert? I'm sorry that we can't have those. Well, they don't win a ring. Okay, those guys are winning. Joe Burrow's winning. I can't admire to have or aspire to have one of those.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, you're talking about talented guys. I'm not knocking, obviously. They're talking about very talented guys, obviously. But I just mean, right now,
Daniel Jones. They tell you answer.
Daniel Jones is the quarterback for the New York Giants.
And he will be next year.
It's trending in a very good direction. I mean, at least definitely in my opinion. Where I came into this season
for the game. I praised him
very neutral. I came into this season very neutral on my stance on Daniel Jones. Very neutral. I wasn't really one way or the other. I was like, he might not be the guy. Maybe he could be the guy. I think he's really, like I said, it's just the way when you look at a guy, you just know. When you see it, you know. And I know what I've seen in particular in these last couple of games, which have been important games for the New York Giants. And sure, we did come up short in one of them. But, like, in particular in this game here, I know it was against the Indianapolis Colts, who have had a terrible season, not considered a good team this year. But at the same time, he went into that game knowing what was on the line and absolutely blew the doors off of that football team. And it was on the strength of Daniel Jones. This was Daniel Jones putting this offense up on his shoulders in that game and elevating everyone around him. And you just know when you see it.
I'm just not disagreeing with you there. But this fascination that people are trying to tell me that I can't get upgrades or do this or do that, or that I can't expect certain numbers from my quarterback is absolutely asinine. Yeah, sure, he's winning football games, but eventually those things are going to catch up with you. And you're going to have to show that you can do more than 15 touchdowns. I'm sorry. That's not an elite quarterback to me. That's an average guy to me. That just is. When I got a guy who's down the turnpike has the same more numbers than him in less games. I got a guy who has the same amount of touchdowns as him, played less games. My point is, yeah, it's not all about the rings. And this is an anomaly because the NFL has been weird. But the fact that people think this guy is an MVP, or that I have to like this guy because he's a Giant fan, or that I don't see improvement. I do see improvement. I just want more. I just want more of that. I see it. Okay. Some of these boxes he's already checked for me his rookie year. So maybe you're surprised, but I saw some of this stuff already. Now I want to be like, all right, Daniel, all right, get me better. You already had a good season your rookie year in touchdowns and in running. Why can't I have that all the time? Why can't I have
once
Daniel
again? Well, I'll go back to you once again. His rookie season, as bad as this team was, he still was throwing the ball to a better complement of receivers than he is right now. Even right now, while this team is still having more success. I mean, that's just facts.
The offensive line was even worse. The offensive line was worse than he has right now.
And it was, and he got sacked a bazillion times.
And he didn't play. He didn't play 2 games because he was injured, and he didn't play 2 games because he was starting the season.
But the
so
point
if you add those numbers up, right? If you want to get into numbers, and we extrapolate those numbers out, he probably has, let's say, 3,500 yards. Probably at that point, I'll give him maybe close to 29 touchdowns. Right? That would be in a phenomenal season, right? The next 2 seasons he falls off. And yes, I believe the offense happened, but I believe he also was in his head. Now, and in those games, he had 5 touchdowns against the Redskins one year. He played excellent game against Tampa Bay, okay, in those 2 years. So the fact that I'm not like, oh, well, he had 4 touchdowns. I said he had a good game. I gave him some roses, but people don't want that. They want more. They want me to be, damn it, Adam, why don't you love him? Why don't you want to be his guy? Why don't you love him? Love him. He's a giant quarterback. And I'm telling you, like, listen, he's a good dude. He might be average, right? And that's fine. I mean, that's fine. You know what I mean?
One thing, like I said, because when you bring up the rookie season, it's just like all that tells me is that you know what this kid is capable of doing with a better group of guys. You know what I mean?
But he wouldn't. He's still not going to be but that's what I'm saying. Is like he had a different offense. These guys are healthy, and he has a tight end. He had Evan Ingram, Darius Slayton, who, by the way, has the same numbers as he did that year. Same numbers, same exact shit.
He had the 8 touchdowns on. How many touchdowns Darius Slayton?
Yes, I think he has 3. But he has 44 yards, 44 receptions, like he normally has. I mean, it's kind of eerie to look at this guy. Like, he has 724 yards and 2 touchdowns, right? Outside of the touchdowns, those have been his numbers for the past 3 seasons, for the past 3 out of 4 seasons, right? Look at it. His let's go to his career stats. If you look at his career stats, right, it's kind of eerie. His first year, he had 740 yards on 48 receptions. In 2020, 50 receptions, 751 yards, 3 touchdowns, right? In 2021, his injury-plagued season, he had 26 targets and 339 yards. And then this year, he has 71 catches for 724 yards. Now, he has an extra game because, remember, the 17th game, I think, was first implemented in 2021. Am I right?
Just last year. No, just last year,
yeah. So for that. He has one more game to beat out his best in yardage and touchdowns, and that's this week. What I'm saying is, it's kind of funny to see Darius Slayton because he has been the same guy in 4 different offenses, even with the change at quarterback. And he didn't even play these games. Remember, he played 15 games, so he didn't start. He didn't play in 2 games this year. At least this is what it says on ESPN. He didn't play.
He wasn't activated the first 2 games of the season.
Okay,
he was a healthy scratch.
He could have had more yardage. It just is a funny thing to look at when you're looking at the grand scheme of things. Because in the same year that we're talking about, where he was throwing the ball downfield, he had 84 targets. This one he has 71 targets. Like, I'm just saying, I just want to see more. That's all. I just want to see more. That's all I want to see. Like, let's see what happens. I'm a glutton for punishment. He might beat the Vikings. Let's go. Hey, let's go. But Why do I have to? This is why I get mad, because I'm on the verge of liking Daniel again, and I'm sauntering down the lane. Here I go, and Daniel's over there. I'm like, yeah, maybe I should go back over here. Then I'll read something, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and I kind of look at it, and I bring it up in conversation, and people are like, you're an asshole. You don't like the quarterback. What's wrong with you, man? What's going on? And I'm like, well, I'm just trying to see what you guys are seeing, because I already saw some of this stuff. That's all.
I'm just saying, I think that Daniel Jones just is trending more towards being actual Listerine as opposed to.
Oh,
I'm just thinking.
I don't think he's getting there.
I'm thinking he's trending more in the direction of the Listerine. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, I'm not wrong in saying, prove it to me now. You're going to get a contract. We all know this. I don't know why people are fighting me. They all know the argument of the Daniel Jones thing. You won, so I don't care. I mean, I don't understand what the argument of the fight is about. The Daniel Jones lovers, the ones who love him, are high-fiving in the streets, who thinks he's the MVP. You won. You won. That's what we are. You won because we know he's played his way back on the team. Now, the contract I would give him is probably either transition tag him or give him a short-term deal to see if he can, prove it again, because he has an injury history, right? Every year minus this year, he was injured. Okay. And we'll see now when we give you weapons if you can prove it. Because if he doesn't prove it next year, and if we come back to this table, and boy, you guys better hope that he does well. And I'm talking about hitting plateaus with these guys. I'm not talking about having 35 yards, 15. No, he better come out and perform with these new upgrades. Otherwise, we're going to be having this stuff.
I think he will, because you kind of have seen, like I said, like his rookie season, we know Golden Tate wasn't a world beater, but he was probably better than the guys that we have right now.
But maybe
you know what I mean? And the thing is, and then he would have had 30 touchdowns his rookie season if he played the games he didn't play, the 4 games he didn't play. He more likely would have had 30 touchdowns his rookie season. He had 24 in 12 games. So I mean, you throw 4 more games in there, give him 4 more games, he probably would have got the 30 touchdowns.
We'll see.
But that's neither here nor there. We obviously don't know that because it didn't happen. But the point is, he's also dealt with 2 years under the Joe Judge tenure, which are basically 2 years that were a complete waste of his career. So you gotta always put that in perspective too. I mean, it was a waste of his career. It was. Come on, those two Joe Judge years were a joke.
I'm just laughing because it's funny how winning changes the narrative. Because let me ask you, if I were to read your numbers, let's not talk about Jones. If I were to tell you that the record was, what are we right now, 9-6-1? If I were to tell you we were 6-9-1, and the quarterback threw 3,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, they had 700 yards rushing, but you're in line to get one of the big guys of Stroud. Are you drafting C.J. Stroud? You probably are. But we put the 9 in front of it. We give him a playoff berth and improvements in what he's doing, and the whole thing has changed. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about in terms of narrative, in terms of perspective, because look at a lot of guys that we didn't like, right? They were getting the line, and here they are. Everybody hated Andrew Thomas. He's good now.
Well, right now, Adam, you are upsetting an entire rugby team, apparently. Apparently, right now, Adam. But
I'm sorry. I was not a good player, and I knew it. So I mean, if someone told me I sucked, I sucked. You should thank me, Giant fans, for me getting up in Jones' freaking face about being better. He said it motivated him. So you're welcome. You're freaking welcome. Okay, so I'm gonna keep getting Jones motivated by hating on him, because if that's what's gonna keep him motivated, then let me be the guy that keeps him motivated and wins you all a Super Bowl.
What's going on, Nut, man? Thanks for stopping in, bro. But yeah, I mean, look, I love your strong stance, and I love the way you stand your ground with the Daniel Jones thing, man. That's part of why I love doing this show with you, man.
Well, it's not
keep
even,
it all the way. You keep it all the way. I mean, you stay. I mean, you're not. You just
let me break it down like this. Okay, Daniel Jones is a player that to me, I don't. If you guys think that I just I hate him because I want to get rid of him, no, I'm giving you the opposite side of the Daniel Jones argument, the one that nobody likes to talk about, the things that nobody wants to point out. Because I watch him, I watch the games like you do, I study him closely, I see there's certain things he still needs to work on and improve. And yes, is it always? Maybe it is the Joe Judge in me that salted me up about him. Because remember, I told you. I like this kid prior to any of these people in this chat, probably. I guarantee you that. You go back on Miz's channel, he's falling down in his living room when that guy's getting drafted. Okay? And you know what I said when he got drafted? When everyone was like, oh my God, he was picked 6th overall. And I said, well, I think the Giants reached, but he was a Giants quarterback. I believed that. That's what I believed in 2019. You can ask my wife, I can bring her on, she'll tell you the same thing. You know, I don't know where I lost the love for the kid. And now it's like, all right, I'm seeing other guys across the league doing things similarly, and I'm seeing his skill set being emulated in different places. And I'm like, what can Dayball do with a guy that's not already – that he has to deprogram and reprogram? Why can't he do a guy from scratch, get his own guy out there and see what he can do? And finances is another reason why I look at this, because financially there are a lot of reasons why giving him a short-term deal is going to help out. People don't want to talk about the cap, but look around the league. There aren't like, Tyreek Hill's out of Kansas City. You know, I mentioned Amari Cooper is already traded. They can pay CD Lamb and the quarterback. So these things are going to have to come up. You may lose a player or two. You know, you just might, and it's who do you want to lose? A guy that you can get a smaller contract that might have more potential than the kid going forward, or do we do what the Jets do and we're just sitting here, you know, not being able to get anything? Because I'm just saying, once you get in that hole and we're stuck financially and we lose an Andrew Thomas or an Xavier McKinney because we can't afford him, that's what happens. So I'm just saying financially, there's a possibility. Everybody thinks I hate Daniel Jones. I used to love him. Go watch my videos. Go talk to my friends. I defended that guy like Dave Brown back in the day.
Oh, you should never. Dave Brown was not worth defending. You should have never defended Dave Brown. But
this comment from the getting into football, I had to defend him.
This comment from the Miz, man. I'm not sure if I'm going to take it as far as the MVP level, but based off of what you've seen this year with his progression under Brian Dable, how do you think he would have been if he's been under Dable the last couple of years, as opposed to the all the Jason Garrett and the Freddie Kitchens and Joe Judge nonsense?
Well, I look at Pat Shurmur, and that's where he was really drafted for, was the West Coast style offense. And what they're doing right now is similar to what Josh Allen is doing right now in Buffalo, but they're doing it on a smaller scale. So when I look at Daniel Jones and I evaluate, I look at Daniel Jones, okay, I think he's peaking. I don't know if he's got a bigger ceiling than this. And that's why I'm telling you guys, like, that's why I want numbers to go with just these, not just wins, because the big ones win too, right? Josh Allen's throwing 4,400 yards, still getting his team into the playoffs. You know what I mean? You don't have to be pedestrian just to be good. I mean, even Eli put up numbers. So my point is that I don't know where he would be. I wonder where he would be, because I wonder what they would use him. Would they do what they're doing now? Because in Pat Shurmur's offense, the kid looked like he could throw all over the yard. In this offense, they like to have him run more. You know what I mean?
Well, they utilize his legs more than Pat Shurmur did. I agree with that. Pat Shurmur was using him more out of the pocket, a lot more.
I think he'd be further along than he is. Let's put it that way. I don't know what that means per se, because the team would still suck. We'd still have the same roster. You're telling me you're just changing the quarterback. That doesn't mean you're necessarily changing. I mean, you're changing the coach. Doesn't mean you're necessarily changing what we're getting. We still had Gettleman at the helm, right? So how do I know what's going to happen, the pieces that are going to be brought in to do that? Because that is right now what you're seeing is a guy who has developed quarterbacks, a la Jim Fossil with Dave Brown. When Jim Fossil came in, Dave Brown was garbage. When Jim Fossil got him, the first 5 years of Dave Brown in that season before he tore his bicep were the best 5 games to start his career ever. Same thing they're doing here. You're taking a guy, You're bringing the playbook down a little bit to build up his confidence. Now the confidence is here. Now you need to go out there and be the 6th overall pick. We all love Justin Herbert. Why? Not just because, he looks the part of a quarterback, but because he has these dynamic plays and he throws up there and he was a 6th overall pick. Show me why. And sometimes I put standards on it. To answer your question, I think he'd be further along as a passer. But right now you're seeing that his best attribute is running.
But no, I think we've been
I was right.
spending
Somebody said I was right. Put that back on the screen. I can't believe it.
we've been
Oh,
we've been
wow.
we've been spending a lot of time on Daniel Jones. So let's talk
I
about
have
a
a
couple other New
supporter.
York Giants. Let's talk about a couple other guys like Xavier McKinney making his return to the lineup, captain of the defense, and he
Ah,
had seven tackles on Sunday. I mean, nothing spectacular by no means, but he seemed to be having like he seemed to be playing okay with that thing on his hand, whatever it is. As opposed, I
he was
mean, just
good.
like
Really good.
Giants are getting. He looked like he was still in really good shape, so
We
that was a
missed it.
good thing. He was kept keeping himself in really good shape throughout this whole process.
Do you
And
did you watch the game? Did you rewatch the game or anything? Do you know the play with Landon Collins was McKinney over top of Collins when he undercut that ball?
I'm not
Yeah, I'm
sure
wondering
if I noticed that.
McKinney's presence helped that interception out.
Now I think what it was a lot had to do with a bad throw, kind of. It was a
True, but I
bad
mean
throw,
the way he played it.
but I'm not sure. I didn't notice it was McKinney over the top because Landon Collins is Nick Foles needed to throw the ball more to the outside, and he threw it
Nick Foles needs
way.
to retire.
And he threw that. He threw it way too. He made it pretty easy for Landon Collins, honestly, on that play. Landon Collins reacted really well to the pass and just went
Shame
up there
on
and
Thibodeau.
just took it. But yeah, getting healthy at the right time, the New York Giants, especially defensively. I mean, I don't know if we're going to get Adoree Jackson back in this
I'm
game this
sitting.
week. At this
I'm sitting.
point, might as well not. At this point, let him just rest up and be ready for the postseason. But we're getting healthy. Got Ojolari's seems to be looking pretty good again. I mean, get these guys rested up and get them ready. But this New York Giant team, man, going into the postseason, man, it could get interesting because healthy on defense, and the defense obviously was what was keeping this team together in the early part of the year. And now the fact that the offense is starting to look like a real NFL offense, not just
About time.
dinking and dunking the ball down the field. The
About
New York
time.
Giants, man, we could be dangerous. Do I dare say we could be dangerous going into this postseason, man, this year?
I mean, look, listen, that's been your mantra all week, all year. Anybody, we can play anybody anywhere, right? So why would it stop now? Why would it stop now? So, Mac, you keep that fire burning over there, and I believe that they're going to make some noise in the playoffs, especially if the matchup. They match up well against Minnesota. They don't match up well against the 49ers. They just don't. The 49ers, I think they could, defensively play with them, but, I think that the 49ers would be worse defensive matchup for us. Big Boss Mac. It's obvious DJ is more comfortable and operates much better out of the pocket. Since we don't have any reliable O-line, boss and collapse so easily, and he's more comfortable running away from D ends. Yes, that is true. He is a little bit more fluid. But all I'm saying is the stuff that you see now are what quarterbacks – I'm not going to get into it. We have a whole offseason to debate with this guy and go on to this guy. We spend too much time talking about this guy. Mac is right.
I mean,
Who are
he's
you?
polarizing,
Look,
man.
here's the big
He's a
question.
polarizing figure, bro.
Here's the big question. Let's start to get into the previews of the game. So the big preview that we're talking about right now, Eagles, Giants. What do you think the Giants should do this Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles?
That is a very good question. I believe we can't put our JV team out there against the Eagles varsity team. I think that would be not really a good thing, not only just for the Giants in general, for the Giants, because, I mean, obviously, we don't even really match up to the Eagles, you know what I mean, even if we put our best guys out there. So let alone putting our backups out there against them. I think we got to go out there, got to give these guys some reps. Definitely got to keep them fresh, keep things, keep the momentum going. I'm not necessarily saying play them the whole game. And to be quite frank, there's a couple of guys I probably wouldn't play at all. Like I said, like I just mentioned, I probably at this point, I'm not going to I probably wouldn't even throw Adoree Jackson out there this week just for a random Week 18 game that means nothing to where the outcome means nothing. You know what I mean? I would rest up Leonard Williams.
Well, the outcome doesn't mean something.
Well, I mean, not to us. It's not for the Giants. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, I have.
Doesn't mean
anything.
I mean, other than just wanting to have one more win on your record, but
That is
I mean, as far as we're going to be the 6th seed regardless if we win or lose this football game. So the point is, people like a Leonard Williams, somebody like that, I probably would rest up. Probably would have Azeez Ojulari on a snap count, Saquon Barkley on a snap count, guys like that. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing this offensive line really go out there and probably play most of the game or however though. You know what I mean? No matter who's playing quarterback, who's running the football, because I want to see this offensive line continue to grow. They played their absolute best game of the season on Sunday against the Colts. Offensive line looked really, really good. Daniel Jones was not getting the pressure that we're used to seeing him get. So I want to see this offensive line continue to grow and become better. And what better team to do it against than the Eagles, who have been just sacking quarterbacks like crazy this season. So I would like to give. I mean, like I said, I keep guys on the snap count, but I want to see guys out there getting some reps and still try to make this game as competitive as possible. I don't want to just throw our backups out there and concede this game to the Philadelphia Eagles.
I say start him, and I went back and forth with this, and the reason I say start him is because you play 18 games for a reason. Brian Daboll should want to get 10 wins on his belt. I mean, that's an achievement. It's hard to win 10 games in the NFL. So go out and try to win one. And not for nothing, this game means a lot. You can eliminate the Eagles essentially from being the number 1 seed, right? Which means whether you like it or not, you have a team that you, one, need to beat to get off the schneid of just losing to this team constantly. That's one. Two, why not play the role of spoiler even though you're already in the playoffs? Why not? You know what I'm saying? Go out there and friggin' win a football game because, let the intensity build up. Now, if you're getting blown out at halftime, obviously don't sit the guys. If your offensive line is struggling because, they actually are playing a defensive line worth their weight in gold, then yes, maybe you don't want to play Daniel if he's getting beat up early. But if it's a competitive game, like I said, you start these guys and you try to end their season because you know what? They lied down for you and we got mad about them letting people just walk all over them and not letting them get to the playoffs. Well, how about you make a statement and say, we're not going to let you win the division. Fuck that. We're spoiling your Sunday. You're not winning the division. You're not getting home field throughout the playoffs because you got beat down by the team who's going to be the new representative in the NFC Championship game, the New York Giants. That's right.
I mean,
how about that?
And I agree.
How about that?
I agree with what you're saying. I want to see our guys play, in particular because I'm also going to be at the game, and I didn't spend my money to go there
for scrubs
and not see Saquon Barkley run the football a few times and stuff like that. But I'm just saying a couple of guys I want to err on the side of caution with. Like I said, Leonard Williams was dealing with this neck thing he's been dealing with.
Right.
I feel like let him rest up and have him ready to go for that game in Minnesota or San Fran, because that's pretty much the only two teams that we're possibly going to play against, either one of those
technically,
two. So,
you could say, I know San Fran's not going to rest their players, but you could say everyone wants to rest your players, right? Because if San Fran rested their guys and Minnesota wins, they're the number 2, so there's a lot to play for. And
those guys have things, but what I'm saying for the New York Giants personally, I'm worrying about the New York Giants.
Right, no, and I'm getting to that point. You need to, as a Giant fan, go in there. You don't have playoff experience. Get it by playing these games that these teams need to play, because guess what? That's the type of intensity you're going to see come the following Sunday. So why not get experience right now? Because it's going to be a different atmosphere. I know we already went up there and probably going to beat Minnesota, but again, it's going to be raucous and loud, and it's going to be a little bit more amped up. So be ready, get that. I mean, against New England, how did they go into the playoffs? That team was 18-0 and wanted a record, wanted to keep winning. They didn't give a shit, right? So why not you go out there, Tom Coughlin would be sick to his stomach right now if he heard what we were saying. Go out there and play the fucking football game. You get paid to play.
I agree. No.
Go out there.
I want them to play the guys. I just think err on the side of caution with a few guys that are dealing with a couple of little things.
The Eagles, they didn't have anything to play for.
I'm not talking about sit the offense. I'm not saying I'm talking about you play these guys, but like I said, Saquon's been a little banged up a little bit. So you err on the side of caution. Run the ball a little bit more with Matt Breida. Run the ball a little more with Gary Brightwell. That's all. All. I'm not saying
throw him out there at all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the mindset is go in there and start, right? And don't worry about getting pulled out of the game. The coach will decide that if things aren't going your way. But I just think it's a good tune-up test because we've just played a team that inflated our ego, right? We played the Indianapolis Colts. That's what we call an inflate buster. You beat that team up. You're big and bad. Now you're facing a team who's going to be now playing for something. They're not going to sit there and say, "Oh, New York Giants, lie down for us." No, they know that they're probably going to have to come in and beat you in a dogfight to keep their hopes alive and win the division. And so they got a lot on the line. So for me,
yeah, they have a lot on the line.
So this to me is a type of game I need to see my boys in. Because guess what? You're going to be in those dogfights going forward. They don't get any easier from here on out. So you might as well try this test, see what you happen, see how the game plays out. Because remember the last Eagle game, he said, "I want to keep the game close." Turn it around here, coach. Send a message that we're coming for the Eagles, regardless of record, regardless of what time of year it is, and let's try to win a game that we have one win in the division. One win in the division, and somehow we're making the playoffs. Okay, so we are 1-2 and tie. Okay, that's terrible.
1-3.
Oh, excuse me, 1-3 and a tie.
And 1.
Okay, if we go 1-4-1, that doesn't bode well for us. That's not something I look forward to every year. Seeing the Giants get their ass kicked in the division. So show me something and beat the Eagles, get a little more momentum. Hey, maybe you beat the Eagles, and this is the lightning rod that sends you to the dance, that sends you to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and it very well could be. We know all too much about that. The 2011 season, that big win down in Dallas, that was a huge. Against Dallas. It was in MetLife, I believe, but that was a huge win to end the season and going into the postseason that year.
Well, we were winning the division. That was a divisional game. If we won, we were in, but we also won the division. So,
Yeah, but that was like I'm saying. I believe in what you're saying with the momentum thing. I just, like I said, I want to go out there and definitely compete. And sure, I would love to be that team and go ahead and knock the Eagles off, give them a third straight loss, as well as knocking them down to the 5th seed. Can you believe I'm saying that after the season the Eagles have had, and they could possibly fall down to the 5th seed in this postseason? That would be a fall from grace, and I would love to be that team to do that. I'm just saying, with some of these guys, I just want to be a little cautious with a couple of guys. Not saying sit the whole starters, all the starters, just be a little cautious with guys. And just don't get too crazy.
Different than sitting. To me, Leonard Williams, if he's banged up, I'm obviously not going to throw him out there. Barkley has had a banged up shoulder. I'm not going to throw him out there. But the question becomes, do you rest your quarterback? Because to me, this is a big one. Because to me, they're coming for blood. They are coming for blood. Okay, they don't want to lose. They already owned you in their building, in our building, so they know that this is the last chance for them to come in. Stakes are going to be high. Do you want to risk that with the quarterback? I'm saying, hey, listen, Daniel, you're going to earn $100 million. You might as well go out there and show me what you got.
Let's see. I'm obviously we're going to see Daniel Jones, and I believe. We're probably about to wrap up soon now, Miz, man. Honestly, we just got a couple more things to talk about, bro. But
you always want to come on. This is not a stream where we come on, man. Every week you want to come on.
But at the same time, I lost my train of thought now. But at the same time, I think this team, I forgot what I was even saying. Shit.
Eagles team.
Oh, like I said, this Eagle team, what I really want to focus on this week, honestly, I want to see our offensive line. I want to see the offensive line play.
Good test.
I want to see, because this offensive line got absolutely destroyed a few weeks ago by this Eagle defense. And I want to see if against the Colts, granted it's not the same level by no means, but at the same time, was that just smoke and mirrors? Because the offensive line played really, really well on Sunday. Really, really, really well. Probably the best game I've seen the New York Giants offensive line play in almost 10 years. It was that good. It was really that good of a performance by the O-line on Sunday.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't a product of a bad team.
That's what I want to see. I want to see Evan Neal against these, because Evan Neal in particular against these elite pass rushers of the Philadelphia
Eagles. They're coming, man. They're going to be coming, man.
And because he took a step, I felt like he played probably his best, most complete game of the year on Sunday as well. And I want to see.
They did play a good game. Well,
if he can still continue to grow and mature and take that next step. So I'm really going to be focused hard on the offensive line. And since I'll get to be at the game, it'll be a lot easier for me to really watch.
Oh, my God, you're going to be at the game. It's going to be awesome.
Yes, sir. I'll be at that game on Sunday, man.
Don't get locked up.
Oh, I definitely. I almost did once in the vet years ago, back in the day, but but that's a whole talk about that another time.
No, we'll talk about that off air.
But just how you feel this one shaking out though, Adam? You think you think we can go in there and take care of the Eagles on Sunday, man?
It's one of those games where I want them to win because I want them to build. Like the thing is, the narrative has changed. You're going into the playoffs now. Let's start to develop the win. Like everyone's like, yeah, we're happy for the playoffs. Let's go make some noise. Start with beating the Eagles. Start with spoiling their season. When's the last time you can say we could spoil the Eagles' season? They've spoiled our seasons a lot. Okay, they've spoiled a lot of stuff that we've done. How about we be the guys that can spoil their season and make them lose the division, and not only lose the division, but go to the fifth seed and have to make them climb to that Super Bowl and have it be disappointing if they don't get there, right? Because think about that. They're the third seed. Maybe the 49ers are number one. The Cowboys are now number 3, and then it becomes a different ball game, right? A whole different animal that you're playing. And now maybe Tampa Bay matches up better against the Eagles than they do the Cowboys. Who knows?
Yeah, too though. I love going to Philly wearing all my New Year Giants stuff and watching heads turn, man. When I walk through the Philadelphia airport or when I'm just in Philly for anything, hanging out, I make it a point to really go extra New Year Giants every time I go to Philly.
You seem like a guy that they're not going to mess with. You know what I'm saying?
I never had too many problems. You know what I mean?
But, you got a deep voice. Don't mess with you, man.
I love walking through city of Philly with all my New Year Giants on, man. All my New Year Giants gear.
I went to Philly once and it was dirty. And I was like, I'm never coming here again. Filthy ass place.
It's definitely one of my favorite things to do, man. I think it's hard for me here. I'm still on the fence, and I usually don't put my prediction out until my preview show, man.
No, don't do it. But it's called Call the Tease.
But yeah, I just you know how it is with these Eagles and this giant rivalry. It's just favored the Eagles so much in my lifetime, man. It's just frustrating. What's going on, Jeff, man? Thanks for stopping in, bro. But yeah, so I'm gonna hold my prediction. For my preview video, man. But
how about this?
Let's see what happens.
Giants in an upset. What not?
So Giants in an upset, Adam?
Yes.
Well, we'll see. I got a couple more days to mull it over, man.
I finally picked the freaking Giants, and Mac is sitting here going, let me see. Not even really hinting at where he goes. Well, good for you, Mac. This is the fan Adam coming out of me. I'm going to give you the fan Adam since everybody hates me because I talk about the quarterback, and it's like I talked about their stepchild, and they're
all love you. We all love you, Adam, man. We all love you, bro.
You'll hate it.
But
no more thoughts for me.
All right. And we got one more game to briefly speak on.
Because there's nothing really to talk about. Cowboys need this game.
Do you think the Washington Commanders have any chance on Sunday of spoiling the Cowboys? I mean, not spoiling them completely. The Cowboys are obviously still going to be in the postseason, but do you think they have any chance of beating the Cowboys and spoiling their chance at a number one seed and a division title?
No, I don't think the Commanders have any chance. You know how much chance they have? And it's about as much chance as Daniel Jones being as good as Montana. That's how much chance they have.
Miz, that's a crazy comment, Miz. I mean, I love Daniel Jones.
Come on, that's what I mean. This is why I hate guys. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be kidding.
You're talking about Joe Montana, man. Talking about 4 for 4 in the Super Bowl, bro. Talking about a dynasty in the 80s.
Oh my God, a guy who woo. See, that's what I'm talking about. No chance. I can't, just like the Commanders, no chance. That's happening.
Yeah, I can't quite go there. I mean, like I said, I'm loving the Daniel Jones I'm seeing now, man.
But
I'm definitely team Daniel now, but Joe Montana, he's not quite anywhere near that yet, bro. Got a long ways to go.
The Washington Commanders have they're starting Sam Howell. If the Cowboys can't beat Sam Howell, then they don't deserve to be number one if they happen to win. Because the scenario is if they win and the 49ers lose and the Eagles lose, they're the number one seed. because they beat Minnesota. If Minnesota wins, there's so many different scenarios. It's fine.
Yeah, but you're talking about a Cowboy team that struggled, that struggled
But this is Sam Howell, man. I mean,
against Joshua Dobbs.
but he at least played in the NFL. He at least has sniffed an NFL locker room. This guy's been on the field not even on the field. He's been on the bench for 17 games. Okay,
He hasn't even been there. He's been inactive for most of them.
Listen, Cowboy fans, bring the screen close to your face right now. Okay, bring it to your ear. Whatever you need to do. Listen to me. If you lose to Sam Howell, pack your bags, bring your golf clubs, because you're not beating Tampa Bay the next week. I'm sorry. If you can't beat Sam Howell, then you cannot expect me to think you're going to go into Tampa Bay and beat Tom Brady. I'm sorry. So, hey, Cowboy fans,
But
know that. Sunday.
that's why this game is so important for the Cowboys, too, like you just hit on. Like you said, if they lose this game, they're going down to Tampa Bay. They're going down to Tampa Bay on Sunday. I mean, or whatever day it's going to be, to play on the road in the playoffs, first round of the playoffs. Where if they win this football game, they give themselves a chance at a home playoff game. So it makes all the difference in the world, man. So,
right. So, but see, the thing is this: if they're content with playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then you say, "Fuck it, we'll rest everybody and we'll coast into the playoffs with the number 5th seed." Because the Cowboys could technically do that if they wanted to. That's what they could do. But because there's that little carrot of a number 1 seed, and if Mike McCarthy did that, I guarantee you'd probably be fired before they even got to Tampa Bay. You know, if they went out there and they lied down to the Washington Commanders, oh my God, I would not want to be a fly on the wall on that airplane ride home. If I was Mike McCarthy, I would be, Sean Payton would be on the horn. I'm like, listen, man, we're going to lose the game to Tampa Bay. We're going to hire you the next day. Okay, that's exactly what would happen.
yeah, like I totally agree, though. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to kind of come out here and make a statement against the Commanders on Sunday afternoon. I think they're going to do their part, at least, in trying to preserve their chances at a number 1 seed and the division title.
You never know, man.
And I just don't see. This Commanders team is done. They quit. After the performance I saw last Sunday against the Cleveland Browns, this Commanders team,
Their coach quit too.
no more respect, no more credibility at this point. And I can't see them going out there and even having a chance in this game against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. I think the Cowboys absolutely are going to blow this team away.
And you made me dangle Sam Howell out there, and you're telling me they're going to blow him out.
I think they're going to absolutely smoke them. I mean, Sam Howell is going to get introduced to the NFL in a very, very tough way with the Dallas Cowboys defense bearing down on him all day long. That would be interesting if he came out there and became the new thing. Like when then everybody be like, "Oh, you should have played Sam Howell all season."
I can see that happening now, Mac. He comes out, throws 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. They lose by like a touchdown or 2, but Sam Howell's not the reason they lost the game. And everyone will be like, "Why didn't you start him 5 weeks ago?"
Shouldn't have put Carson Wentz back in there. You should have started Sam Howell.
Exactly. Oh my God! I mean, could he be any worse?
I mean, he can't be. Carson Wentz's performance was terrible on Sunday.
Like really, you wouldn't say how worse could he be?
Like I said, I'm almost certain that the Redskins, the Commanders, are going into this football game on Sunday with Taylor Heineke, Sam Howell, and Carson Wentz is going to be a healthy scratch.
I can't believe that game's at 4:00.
Well, somebody brought up a good point as to why they probably don't want like they said, they probably don't want. Like they played the game earlier and then say the Eagles and Giants game was at 1:00 or something like that, and the Eagles beat the Giants, then they probably wouldn't want the Cowboys resting their players. They want to have both teams go out there and just play, go for it. You know what I mean? Right. I'm not sure, but somebody brought that up, and it seemed like it's a pretty reasonable point. But yeah, I think the Cowboys smoked the Commanders here. I don't think this is going to be even remotely competitive in any way, shape, or form. But we'll see. That's why they play the game. And Sam Howell might come out there and be the next greatest thing since sliced bread, for all we know. He might come out there and he might.
God's ears for the Commander fans. Excuse me.
He might be the next. He might come out and show he's going to be the next Joe Montana.
Oh,
he come out there and be all of a sudden become the next league's Joe Patrick Mahomes.
Daniel Jones.
We don't know. We don't. That's the thing about this. You never know. We haven't seen this kid all year long. Maybe he will come out there and surprise some people, but I just don't see it. And with that being said, just want to say one more time about prayers up to Damar Hamlin, his family, and friends, and everybody, all his loved ones, supporting this young man. Out there, almost literally, almost lost his life for the game he loves, and technically did for a couple of minutes on the field there on Monday night. Like I said, one of the scariest thing I've ever seen in all my years of watching football. So definitely want to continue sending prayers to him and his family, and hope that this kid can make a recovery, not a recovery to get back on the football field, a recovery just in life in general.
Right, right.
Because this is about life. This is not about football with him right now. He's not dealing with a football injury. He's dealing with something far
Life.
more serious than that. So just
Yeah.
continue sending prayers his way, man, and hope for the best for that young man.
It is
And
heavy, man. It is a heavy week,
yeah,
going into it. This is supposed to be week 18, supposed to be fun, supposed to be exciting, supposed to be, hey, the end of the season, we're celebrating because we made it this far. And, we have this that we have to worry about. And like we said, this is bigger than the game, bigger than football. And let's hope he pulls through, right? I mean, like we said, just wake up, just be able
yeah,
to sit up in bed, be able to, see his family again. Open his eyes, whatever it takes. Um, we're pulling for you, kid. And
absolutely, absolutely, man. Like I said, the way the league's come, the way the whole entire league has come out, man, supporting him, this
they can put
situation,
this
this whole
number on
thing.
his helmets across the league. That's what they should do.
They, they should absolutely do that because, like I said, I mean, it was a sad thing. I mean, people shedding tears. I mean, look, I shed a few tears myself. I don't know the guy personally myself, but it's just the
Hits
person
you a
I
different
am. I
way. Hits
mean,
you a different
the
way.
human, yeah, the human in me. We're all humans out there, and that put a whole different perspective on things, man.
Listen, we've seen a lot of injuries. If you watch football, you see many different injuries. Gruesome,
Absolutely.
disgusting, guys, fingers, things like that, necks, even concussions, but nothing where somebody has had to be resuscitated on the field, or at least in this magnitude of a game. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Good for you,
absolutely.
Jeff.
Thanks for that, Jeff. Man, a lot of people have been doing that these last couple of days. His charity it's been skyrocketing with the donations. So I mean, and it's unfortunate it took something like this for it to get that level of a response, but at the same time, it's still very much appreciated, man. I'm sure.
Yeah.
And
And
just like you said, we'll just continue to keep an eye on the situation, and hope to see hope that this man can make a full recovery, man. Like I said, and just get back to living a normal life.
well,
Because
that
since
one's a
he's
little different, Jeff, because that one was a related injury to an event that happened.
yeah, well,
We never know about cardiac arrest. He could have been walking down the street and had cardiac arrest. You know what I'm saying? Things happen like that. So,
Jerry
something.
Lawler's situation was on an actually episode, I think Monday Night Raw or something.
Oh, Jerry Law. I thought I was going to talk about Owen Hart from the
Well, Owen
raft.
Hart was an accident when him coming down off the rafters. That
Yeah.
was just a really bad accident. Uh, Jerry Lawler, Jerry Lawler had a right on a live air in a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or something, one of the shows. He had like a heart attack right during like a commercial break. Came back off commercial and they announced that he had a heart attack right literally
Yeah.
during the commercial break, right there in
Well,
the
things
ring.
like that
So
happen. And it's tragic. And let's, NFL, get the numbers out. Have people put this number on the back of his helmet. I mean, what better day to showcase it on Sunday? Say, hey, listen, we're thinking about you. I mean, obviously a number is not much, but I mean, hey, they do it for everybody, right? In
I
certain
feel like
colleges,
every game should have some kind of salute in the beginning of the game or something for this kid
right?
on
They tell
Sundays,
me they
man.
can't get
Like,
decals on their helmet. Or make the equipment guys work overtime a little bit. Pay them a little overtime. And put
yeah,
number 3 on the
absolutely.
back of everyone's jersey to kind of honor him. They have every other billboard or saying that you want back there. Why not put a saying for we missed you, Dad, Hamlin? Something like that. How about they do
Yeah,
that or something?
absolutely. So absolutely. I mean, I don't know where the Buffalo's playing at this week, if their game's in Buffalo or if they're on the road again,
Oh,
but
we will be pulling for them, whoever they play. I'm sorry, whoever the opponent is of the Buffalo Bills. We're pulling for Buffalo.
where are the Buffalo Bills? Buffalo Bills are at home this week, so that stadium is going
Woo!
to be
Emotional.
absolutely electric, and it's going to be an emotional scene up in that stadium. And I know if they're not doing it league wide, they'll be damn sure doing something up in that stadium for that young man in Buffalo on Sunday. So look forward to seeing whatever kind of tribute they may have.
Buffalo, play your hearts out. There's no excuse for this game.
They absolutely will. And they're playing against the Patriots, I believe. That's a big, important matchup as well. And for the Patriots, have a lot on the line in that game. Buffalo
galvanize each other, pull together.
So that's going to be one of the intriguing matchups anyway. And now it has even this much extra emphasis on it. So once again, just continue to get better. Hope for the best for Damar Hamlin. Like I said, only 24-year-old young man. It feels like no 24-year-old should be going into cardiac arrest. It's just not something you ever think about at that age. So let's just hope for the best for that young man. And with that being said, Adam, you got any more final thoughts?
No, everyone. Thanks for joining us. You have a great evening. Mac, take us away.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody, man. You came out, supported everybody in the chat, man. It's a great chat again, once again, keeping the chat booming. Appreciate everybody showing support, me and my guy, Adam. Doing this. This is our last regular season edition of The Real Deal. NFC East.
We made it.
Round-Up.
We made it to the end of the year together. We're still here. We're going to be rolling for a long time, folks. If you like us, the duo's not going anywhere. We're not breaking the band up. We're sticking with you guys.
And we are going to have some postseason editions this year, y'all. 3 teams in the NFC East in the postseason, man. So we will be doing this until there are none. But at the same time, it's looking pretty good that the NFC East will be hanging in there until at least the conference championship games. So we will see what's going on. And thank everybody for chilling out with us this afternoon, this evening. And make sure you join me on Sunday for I can't. It won't be immediately following the game because I had to actually get on the highway and get back home.
Come on.
But I will still be doing an aftermath on Sunday. It's just gonna be a little later than normal. So make sure you come through Sunday after the game. Probably about an hour or so after the game. Probably took me about that long to get situated, get out of there, and get home. And be coming with that aftermath on Sunday after the game, following the football game, hit you with the good, the bad, or the indifferent, man, about that football game on Sunday in Philly, man. So make sure y'all check us out. Thanks, everybody, once again, for tuning in. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. Got my guy, super dope co-host, Adam Costas. And we out, and we'll see y'all next Wednesday for a postseason edition of The Real Deal NFC East Round-Up. Peace. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants fan. That's MACDA Giants fan.